Welcome back to Mindful Reds. Today, I'm diving into Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I just finished reading this book, and let me tell you, it's a roller coaster of emotions. From dragons to epic battles and complex relationships, this book has it all. So if you haven't read it yet, I'll try to keep it spoiler-free for the most part. But be warned, there might be a few spoilers, so proceed with caution. But if you're into fantasy with a strong female lead, this one is definitely worth checking out. And if you're interested in exploring the book in its entirety, I've left a link to the full version below. I'm Violet Sorrengail, and today I'm going to take you through Fourth Wing the Dragon Writing Academy that's just as terrifying as it sounds. I know what you're thinking. Dragons, magic, epic battles. This is going to be wild, and trust me, it is. But what really makes Fourth Wing stand out is how it explores fear, survival, and personal growth in a world where everything is stacked against you. So let's dive into my journey through this brutal academy and what I learned along the way. I won't be sugarcoating it because, let's face it, nothing about this academy is easy. And yeah, there are dragons, but there's also betrayal, fear, and some intense personal stakes that made me question everything about myself. But let's start from the beginning because this was not how I pictured my life turning out. I was just a regular girl, well, as regular as you can be in a world that has dragons. But when my mom forced me into the Fourth Wing Academy, I had no choice but to follow through. No matter how much I dreaded it, no matter how much I feared the dragons, the instructors, and honestly, most of the people here, I had to survive. There was no plan B on my first day. I walked through those gates, already exhausted before the real challenge had even started. Everything about this place is intimidating: the towering buildings, the echoes of students in training, the feeling that you're constantly being watched. You sure you're cut out for this? I heard a voice behind me as I stepped into the courtyard. I turned to see Zayden, one of the older students, leaning against a pillar with that cocky, dangerous look on his face. "I'm here, aren't I?" I snapped, trying to sound confident, even though my heart was hammering in my chest. This was nothing like I'd imagined. "Yeah, but being here doesn't mean you'll survive it." Zayden's words were sharp, almost cruel, but there was something in his eyes that made me hesitate. "I'm not quitting," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I'll make it." "Don't be so sure of that," Zayden muttered before walking away. He was right. This place wasn't a joke. The training was grueling. Every day was a test of strength, endurance, and willpower. From running drills to dragon handling exercises, I felt like I was always on the verge of collapse. But the hardest part wasn't just the physical strain, it was the mental toll. It wasn't just about surviving the academy. It was about facing your deepest fears. The dragons. The instructors who seemed to take pleasure in pushing you to your limit. The students who looked at you like you were a target. Then there was Zayden again. He seemed to pop up everywhere, and somehow I couldn't ignore him. Every time I faltered, there he was, with a strange mix of encouragement and mockery. "You're still here," he said one day, after I barely managed to finish a particularly brutal drill. "Yeah, not that I'm giving you the satisfaction," I muttered, wiping sweat from my brow. "I don't need satisfaction," he said, his voice unusually soft. "But I do need you to survive. You're going to need more than just determination to make it out of here alive." I shot him a look. "I'm not here to make friends, Zayden." "That's good, because you're not going to find any in this place," he said with a smirk. "But you'll find allies when you least expect it." His words lingered in my mind. There were so many enemies here, so many reasons not to trust anyone. But somehow, Zayden's cryptic advice felt like the truth. I wasn't sure if I could trust him, but I knew I had to keep going. For me, for the dragons, for survival. Surviving the academy wasn't just about physical strength, it was about mental fortitude. And honestly, I thought I was strong enough. But I quickly learned that I had no idea what true strength was. The first time I faced a dragon was a wake-up call. The dragon was massive, its scales gleaming in the sun. It had this look in its eyes like it could crush me in an instant. The moment I stepped closer, my heart nearly stopped. I froze, my legs shaking. Every ounce of my body screamed to turn and run, but I couldn't. You're not going to learn anything if you stand there like a statue, one of the instructors barked. I gulped, stepping forward hesitantly. The dragon snorted, its hot breath curling around me like a suffocating cloud. Remember, Violet, it can smell fear. Zayden's voice echoed from behind me. He had been watching me like always. I'm not afraid, I said, though my voice wavered. Don't lie to yourself, he said, stepping closer. But you have to learn to control it. That's the first step. I nodded, forcing myself to step closer to the dragon. Its giant eyes stared down at me, and in that moment, it felt like the whole world had narrowed down to just me and it. My fear was suffocating, but Zayden's words kept ringing in my mind. Control it. Somehow, I managed to place my hand on the dragon's massive scales. They were warm, almost comforting, but the power beneath them was undeniable. The dragon let out a soft rumble, as if acknowledging my presence. I didn't know what it meant, but for the first time in days, I felt like maybe I could do this. Maybe I wasn't just here to fail, but that wasn't the end of it. The challenges kept coming. With every test, every drill, I had to dig deeper, find strength I didn't know I had. And each time I thought I was done, Zayden was there, reminding me that there was always more to give. You're stronger than you think, Zayden told me one night after a particularly brutal exercise. He was standing beside me, his face unreadable. I don't feel strong, I admitted, feeling like I might collapse at any second. That's because you're still fighting the wrong battle, he said. You're not here to prove anything to them. You're here to prove something to yourself. I didn't understand it then, but I think I'm starting to. This wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a battle to find out who I really was when everything I thought I knew was stripped away. It wasn't about the dragons or the academy, it was about me. My limits, my fears. Fourth Wing isn't just a story about dragons and magic. It's a story about resilience, about pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible. It's about fighting the battles that others can't see, the ones that rage inside you. Every day I had to choose, would I face my fears or would I let them destroy me? The academy tests more than just your physical abilities, it tests your will. It pushes you to the brink, to a place where you start questioning who you are and what you're capable of. And sometimes the hardest part is admitting that you need help. Zayden, for all his cryptic words and tough exterior, became a strange kind of ally. Not because he was kind, but because he saw the potential in me before I did. And for once, I had to trust that. Ultimately, this isn't just my journey. It's a journey of growth, of discovering who you are in a world that's constantly trying to break you down. If I can survive this, maybe I can survive anything. And that's the real lesson. Survival isn't just about the end goal, it's about who you become along the way. So that's a little glimpse into my journey at Fourth Wing. If you're into high-stakes fantasy, dragons, and personal growth, then this book is a must-read. There's a lot more to the story, more challenges, more dragons, more unexpected twists, but what really stayed with me was how it made me question what it means to be truly strong. It's not about power or brute force. It's about resilience, about pushing through when you think you can't go any further. I'm still figuring out where my journey goes from here, but one thing's for sure, the academy has changed me. And whether I'm ready for it or not, the next challenge is already waiting around the corner. If you've read Fourth Wing, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Who was your favorite character? What's the hardest lesson you think Violet learned? If you haven't read it yet, I definitely recommend you check it out. Until next time, keep fighting those dragons literally or metaphorically.